Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'll be showing you a detailed video on how to make the perfect Nigerian jollof rice. You can replicate this using the exact measurement to get the same result. If you are a beginner or you are very new to Nigerian foods, but you've been hearing about the popular Nigerian jollof rice, this is the video you need to watch to get a great result. So I start off by dicing my onions into bits and I set it aside. After this, I turned on my hob, level being the highest, and I placed my pot on it. I allowed the pot to get hot a bit and I poured in my 100 ml smoky chili and basil oil. This right here is all you need, and if you don't have one, you can actually make yours by putting fresh basil, rosemary, chili into a bottle of oil whenever you are ready to use it. All you have to do is just pour it through a sieve whenever you need to use it, and that's just basically it. But you don't need infused oil if you don't have one. Regular oil can as well do the magic, so it's not important. I'm just saying in case you want to replicate mine. So I allowed my oil to get hot a bit. Then I pour in my onions. I stirred in and I sauteed for about 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I went ahead and stirred it all together, and I could perceive the aroma of the well sauteed onions all over my kitchen. I left it again for another 1 minute. At this rate, I know it is ready for the next step. I squeezed in my tomato puree. Right here, I'm using Sainsbury's tomato puree in case you want to replicate mine, but any tomato puree of your choice is fine. I stirred it in and I allowed it to incorporate well with the onions. This is where you can get it wrong or right, so you have to be careful. I kept stirring for about 2 minutes because my hob is on the highest and I don't want it to get burnt. Not yet, not now. Also, remember tomatoes can be tangy as well, so I do need to fry through. I stayed for a while, then I reduced my hob to 4. While this is frying through, I can as well start off with other things. Here are my ingredients. I counted my dry bay leaf, and I'm using 6 dry bay leaf. I also placed a teaspoon of curry, seasoning powder, thyme, salt into a flat plate. Then I also added in a bit of twist. I don't want you to judge me. I had in another seasoning powder, but a different make, just to give it a bit of a twist. So in case you're making yours, you can do so or you can leave it. It's not important. So I just want, that richness of 2 different seasoning powder. I checked on it again and I stirred. You can see right there, it is getting burnt. This is how you know you can pour in your spices. You start seeing the oil separating from your well incorporated onions and puree. I stirred a bit again, then I poured in all my spices. After I poured in all my spices, then I began to stir. I kept stirring for a while. This helps with the smokiness taste, so I advise you to do the same. It gives this vibe of burnt stew, but it's not burnt. So it's just the consistency of stirring and at the same time frying that gives that smokiness taste. So here are the peppers I'll be blending for this mix. So I have my 4 tomatoes, 1 ball onions, sweet red long pepper, and 2 scotch bonnets. I start off by cutting my onions into bits for easy blending. Then I cut my tomatoes as well. Then I'll put it in. Then I pour in a bit of water and then I blend all together. For my long red pepper, I have to remove the seed because it's bitter, so we are not blending in the seed with it. In total, I had 5 long sweet red bell pepper. So I repeated the process by removing the seeds and washing it up again. Right here, I'm using a small blender container. I had to blend bit by bit. I poured in some water for easy blending. If you have a big or better blender, do use it. It will save you off the stress of blending bit by bit and time as well, eh? After putting in my first batch of peppers into the blender, I have 2 scotch bonnet atarodo and 3 long sweet red bell pepper tatashe left. So I make sure my blending is smooth, like it has to be very smooth when you are blending or after you finish blending. I am okay with the consistency of the peppers, so I removed it and pour it into a container. So I went ahead to cut my other remaining peppers into bits for easy blending. I put them all into my jar. I mean every bit of it. Is it me or something? Or like I ate with, like I'm that canny. No matter how little it is, I like to get everything. I don't know. I'm just like that. Anyway, I poured in some water, I covered it up, and I blended it to a smoother consistency. After blending, I also set aside. So I went back to check on my tomato puree and onions, and you can see it's well fried. Like if there is another word other than well fried, I don't know, we can also use it as well. Looking darkish and the oils have separated, so right there you will know it's ready for any other things. And remember, we've poured in our seasoning, so this right here is a game changer. Then I stayed for a bit and I poured in all my peppers, so you can see the oil separating. That's the consistency you want it to be. So I poured in all of my peppers. I put some water into my blender jar. Then I make sure I mix it together. Then I poured it into my pot as well. There's no waste here, like you always say, right? I stirred. As I'm stirring, I was making sure to loosen the thickness from our fried curry and onions, so as to enter the pepper mix or to incorporate well with the pepper mix. I was making sure to stir very well so as to remove the ones that is glued to the pot as well. You know, we have thick puree and onions already, so I want to make sure I stir them well to loosen them into the pepper mix. Because if you don't do this, what you will notice is one part is frying and the other one is burning and it's not even cooked or fried through yet. So I went ahead to change my up from 4 to 8, while 11 being the highest. It was on 4 before, then I moved it to 8 because now we need it to cook and fry through as soon as possible and we don't want to waste time. But if you have a lot of time in your hands, you can as well leave it as 4. The slower it cooks, the better it is. That's one thing I noticed about it. So I check on it, it's frying through maybe roughly for about 15 minutes. As you can see, the burnt part has already come up, it has incorporated with our mixed pepper. So I'm stirring like this to show you that we don't have any burnt parts, not yet though. After stirring for a while, then I left it be. So moving on to our rice, shall we? I put in a bowl and I'm measuring my rice in front of you, so I should see exact measurement I use. This video is all about you doing the same thing, you replicating it and getting the same result. So I poured in my cup of rice, so I'm using 4 cups. So these are 1 cup. I went ahead, I poured in another one. Funny enough, you might think my measurement is not right because some rice are pouring into the bowl while pouring into the cup, but this is what it is. So that's 2 cups. I went ahead and poured in another cup, making 3 cups. So what I used or what I did to balance this up, it might be silly of me, but my 4th cup, I make sure it's not full so that it can make up for the ones that has been in the bowl already. I counted it as 4 cups. Funny enough, if we had to measure it again, which I did not do, it will get us out 4 cups. So this is our 4 cups of rice. Washing this thing takes time because it's starchy, right? And we want to get the old starch out. So I washed with my hands. I washed, like, I want you to see the way I wash this rice, so I'm not editing or cutting it out. So wash with me, guys. Washing rice takes time. I'm using long grain rice, by the way. I rub with my palm while the water is running, and I did this repeatedly. I pour the water into my zinc. As you can see how cloudy the water is. This is what you need to get out the starch in the rice as much as possible. I poured in a fresh water, then I repeated the process again. Like I rubbed with my palm, rubbing and rubbing the second time, and the water is still cloudy. So I poured it into the zinc as well. I did it also the third time. Pour it in, rub with my palm, and the water is still cloudy. So after doing this, what I notice is the more you wash, the water becomes brighter bit by bit. But you just have to be a bit patient, because if we don't do this, the rice can at the end of the day become soggy. I don't know if there is a scientific proof to it, but that's what I noticed. So you really want the water to be clear. What I mean by clear is you can see through the water. You can see through the water, you can see the rice. But right now we can't see anything. So that's why I keep washing till I could get a clear look of the rice. So I washed again and washed again, the fourth time I think. Then I poured it out. So this time I'm having a better view of the rice. So I poured it in. You can see the water is becoming clearer and looking brighter. So I put in some water again, then I wash through, and I can have a better view. We can see through the rice, right? So right now I'm feeling a bit fulfilled because we're almost there. We're not there yet. One thing I notice is you seeing the better view of rice. Come and see another magic that will happen. I used to see my mom back at home, we put salt, saying when you put salt into a rice while you're washing, you remove the old starch. Don't know how true this is, but I've been doing it ever since then. The daughter instinct or the things you get from your parents, and you can't say it to wing off, right? But it actually works. So as I was rubbing with my palm, this time around I'm not putting in any water, because me rubbing with my palm will give me a better result without water or little water. As I washed, I put in my tap and I put in some water, and you can see it's going back to being cloudy. I don't know, but it is what it is. So this salt actually helped, I must say. I don't know, just drop your comments if you have anything to say about this. But I've been doing this over and over again. So after I put in some salt and I washed through, then I put in another fresh water, and I also washed again. But this time around I'm done. Like I was done, enough of washing. So I poured the water away, but the Lydia in me still put in another water because it's a bit cloudy, don't you think? Even though I said I was done, but right now I'm actually done. As you can see, I'm trying to rub with my hand and the water is very clear. So this is a better view of it. The water is actually clear this time around. So I poured it through and I make sure I drain the water out, and the water is clear. So I drain off the water with a sieve. I'm doing this because I want every water to come out. Sometimes I might have done or washed the rice earlier, because if I do this, At least by the time I'm a bit ready or whenever I'm ready with the rice, the water will be completely drained and dried. But you can do that, that's what I'm telling you, or you can do it this way. It doesn't really matter though, but it helps. So going back to check on my stew, and you can see the stew is well fried. But what I also do is that, or what I did is that I took some stew out. So I took about 2 spoons, then I pour into my bowl and I set aside. So I'll be making use of that later. So stay glued and watch to the end to see what I will do with that. And if you've watched to this point, please, I'm sure you must be enjoying it. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and on your notification buttons. What this will do, it will help boost my videos for other people to see and up with my growth as well. Thank you so much. I poured my already drained rice into the pot. Then I began to stir. What I want to achieve by stirring is I want the stew to incorporate well with the rice. You can see right here I've not added in any water. So I continue stirring and I stir for a bit so that the stew will incorporate well with the rice. What I'm doing right here is I'm frying the rice, if that makes sense, but there is no water in it. So I increase my up from 8 to 11 at this point. Then I continue mixing as well. Then it has started burning at this rate because now I've increased my up to 11 being the highest. But I continue mixing very fast. Then after I mixed, there's this thing they say you can't mix your rice. If you mix your rice you get burnt. I don't know, but they used to say it back then. I don't know. I think it's a mix because I actually do mix my rice and it gives a better result. This is the close look of the rice, and as you can see, it's giving all the richness it will give. So my hub is on 11, which is the highest. And right there after I finish mixing, I haven't even put water here. So what I'm trying to do, I'm allowing the sweetness, the thickness, everything from the stew to incorporate well with my rice. Then after a minute here, I stirred it in again. It wants to start burning, but me stirring in is coming up. It's dried rice anyway, so it won't get burnt that easily. So I let it be for another 1 minute, and I'm sure you've been wondering what's cooking in this other pot. So it's my turkey. So I want to pour in some stock with it. So that's what I'm making in turkey. So I poured in some water at this rate. And what I want you to also know, please guys, move closer. Move closer. What I want you to notice, when putting water, you can't put too much water. The water should be at the same level with the rice. There's a space of water in between the rice. Not too much, not too less, because if it's too less it will be hard, and if it's too much it will turn soggy. You don't want to have that drain or that grain rice. No, I don't know. So just put in a bit of water, like half pint for 4 cups or a full pint for 4 cups. So if I'm using cup measurement, I think that's 2 cups of water. So this is how you want it to be. Just want the water to be in it, not too much, not too less. It should just be enough. Then I put in my stock from the turkey. So I'm using a silk spoon because I only need the stock, not the onions. So after the stock from the turkey has entered my rice, I stirred in a bit. At this rate, that's all you need to put in your rice. Then I taste it for salt, and I like it. It tastes good. Then I put in my foil paper. After I put in my foil paper, I covered my pot. Me putting foil paper is to lock in all the steam so that nothing is coming out. What this will do is it helps with the smokiness as well. So I put my up from 11 to 4 because we don't want to cook, we want it to fry through and steam through, right? Yeah, steam is the word. So now I'm steaming my rice. After about 25-30 minutes, I check on it again and our rice is ready. But what I want you to notice, don't even open your pot while it's cooking. It will alter the smokiness gain we want to achieve. So at this rate, I'm just mixing my rice together and I want the whole stew and everything to cooperate well with it. And that's what the help of foil paper does. It helps you lock in the steam, which will give you that smokiness taste. So I tasting for salt and everything, but I added in a bit of salt because I tasting for salt and seasoning. After adding a bit of salt, I tasted it again and it was perfect. At this rate, I'll be adding in butter just to give me a different taste or a better taste. So I add in 3 teaspoons of butter. Yeah, so I'm using Butterlicious from Sainsbury. After I added in my butter, then I mix also again. At this rate, I've reduced my up to 1 because we don't want it to be burnt further than it has already been because the rice is already done. We are actually through cooking. So what this butter will do, it will mix with the steam. The rice is hot at this rate. And another thing is, if you need to put in anything, this is the time you should put it because the food is still hot. So anything you add in it right now is just perfect. If you want to add in crayfish, which I don't have, I love adding, but I don't have when I was making this video, you can put it at this rate. But if you put in crayfish, there is no need for you to put butter, but you can put it anyway. The better is the taste. Remember my stew? Yeah, this is where I want to use it. When I tasting for salt, actually I don't need the stew, but the stew gives me this vibe of burnt stew, and you adding burnt stew into your rice, it goes well also. Sometimes I forgot about it, then I'll use it for another thing entirely. And what I also do when making jollof rice is I make a lot of sauce so I can scoop out and use for different things later. When you're using one stone to kill 2 birds, this is what it is. So this is how our jollof rice looks like. It's giving all the richness and all the goodness it should give. I tasted it again after I added in the pepper and it was perfect. If there is another word from perfect, this is giving it. I fried my turkey and I placed it on my pot of jollof rice. This is the food, everybody. This is our party jollof rice. I mean, our delicious party jollof rice. You can as well replicate this using exact measurements I use, or you can just twist yours. It's better to be creative. One way does not make the road. We have diverse ways to achieve the same result. Thank you for watching to this extent. Thank you for watching to the end of my video. Please subscribe, like, comment and share. Remember that stew we left earlier, the remaining ones. Sometimes I use it to mix my turkey, then I'll call it pepper stew. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So the turkey is giving, the jollof rice is giving as well. So thank you so much for watching to the end. I'm always your dearest friend, Lydia'skitchen, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you and have a blessed day. Bye. See you in my next video, everyone. Thank you.